Hey guys, today we have Tom Painter on the show. Tom and his wife LaDawn are self-made millionaires who they find great joy in helping others build a better future. They are the founders of the Success and Money Foundation, which is a nonprofit that provides free success classes and resources to people all around the world. They currently have 12,000 students from 80 different countries. Some of these students spend 40 hours per week on this platform getting free, life-changing education. The foundation provides financial rewards to these students for participating, and not only that, they provide the gift of sight by donating reading glasses to people who need them. Join me and hear Tom's story, learning why it's important to become compassionate capitalists. Now, without further ado, here is Tom. Okay, Tom Painter, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Cole.
Yeah, of course. So first off, let's talk about your foundation that you started. Tell us a little bit about that and how it began.
Well, I was very lucky. My father was 4 days older than Warren Buffett. So I actually had a mini Warren Buffett as my dad, as my teacher. Now, he didn't add the zeros like Warren did, but he was just as smart, in my opinion. And I was very lucky to have a wonderful dad and mom that taught us kids about success and money at a very early age. I would say that my parents were compassionate capitalists. My mom
Nice.
was very compassionate. My dad was a capitalist. As a result, us kids became compassionate capitalists. And so I grew up, I'm one of 10 children. I'm number seven. And so I learned that I had to negotiate my way around or I didn't eat. I
That's a
couldn't,
good skill.
I had to be friends with everybody and make stuff happen. And so I had a wonderful bringing up. My father taught me an awful lot of things. And my mom and dad really started with nothing. They were both born in 1930. And as
Mm,
you remember, this is when the Great Depression happened. The crash of 29 happened. They were born a year later. They didn't have two nickels to rub together, but they went to the same high school. They fell in love. They got married and they started a family. And they grew up during the Depression, during World War II. And as you look at your family and your parents and you look at what's happened and how they act and why they act the way they do, you just have to go upstream and connect the dots a few things and you
mm.
can see what happened to them, which happened to their parents and their grandparents. That's probably one of the reasons we have some of the belief systems that we have. So I had a wonderful childhood, wonderful parents that taught us an awful lot about life and about helping others.
So what did your dad do for work, if you don't mind me asking?
So in 1945, my dad and my grandfather actually, with his brother, they were mechanics and they had this old gas station that they'd rented that had two bays to it. And they would go around to the different cities around there and they would go knock on doors. They would look in fields. They would try and find old cars that people had broken down. Parts were very hard to get during World War II. And they would go in and make a deal to buy the cars, usually in somebody's garage or out in the field. And they would buy it, tow it back to the gas station, and they would fix it up. And then they would resell it. And a few years later, our family got into the car business. And I basically grew up in the car business, which is a very tough business to be in.
That
Um,
is
that's how my dad started, was in the car business.
That's a creative way to get into it too, with the gas station and being resourceful enough to find those cars. That's not an easy thing to do. I'm sure that there are a lot of troubles that you go through when you do that, and a lot of hard times because, as we'll probably get into, and as you know, markets change, and just the fluctuating part of even one aspect of that, not even gas prices, but just finding a broken down car or finding anything like that. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Uh, So, were there any particular moments while working with your dad or seeing your dad that really inspired you?
Well, I remember when I was just a teenager, I was probably 14, 15 years of age. And my dad had bought this little house that was next door to the house I grew up in. And it was hot. I was out there helping him scrape the old paint off the house in an attempt to repaint it, because we had renters in there. And I says, Dad, can I get paid for doing this? And he goes, No, son, get back to work. He had 10 kids. He didn't probably have a lot of time to a lot of patience. And I got the gumption up a little later to ask him, Dad, are you sure I can't get paid for doing this work? And he goes, son, we bought this house so it would provide extra income for you and your brothers and sisters to be able to go to school, to be able to go to college. Now, as a teenager, I really didn't care all that much about college. And he could see that wasn't the answer I was looking for. And he says, well, you know what, son? Some people make so much money off their small businesses and their investments, their real estate, that they don't have a job. All they do is manage those things. And that was like a light bulb went on in my head. Like, really? They don't really have a job. All they do is manage those things. And so I had a seed planted in my world very early in life.
Now, I'm sure you guys know this, but it's one thing to know something and the importance of investing, but it's another thing to have the motivation too. And I'm sure Tom had a lot of motivations, but here is one big one.
When I was 34 years of age, I had a heart attack. And as they were wheeling me down into the operating room, I can still see it in my mind's eye as I looked over at my wife that was sitting there in the hallway and wondering if I was coming back. And if I didn't come back, who was going to take care of my two special needs children? I have two special needs children that have autism. Now, I was lucky. 1/3 of the people who have a heart attack, they die. That's the first thing that first notice that they have a problem is death. And I was very lucky. And I knew I had to figure out how to make some extra money to take care of these special needs children of mine. Now, luckily, I had a friend that I knew, Mr. Robert Allen. He's the famous author of Nothing Down, Creating Wealth, Multiple Streams of Income. And I went to him and asked him what I should do, because we found that with autism, there was a few programs where it was very, very expensive. We'd have to move to Los Angeles, go to UCLA, and put him into these programs. And it was very, very expensive. And I didn't have the money. Bob says, well, what you need to do is you need to just really get busy. You need to go buy some real estate. You need to do some small businesses. You need to go make enough money that you can put your child in whatever program you want and never, ever regret it. And that I started multiple streams of income. I started doing things with my wife. We bought a whole lot of real estate and fixed it up. Some of it we turned around and sold so we could have more capital. And then we took that capital and put it into longer term units. So we had some properties that we've had for almost 40 years now. We've got others that we bought, fixed up, and sold. But we've always been in long-term real estate. We've done that. Plus, we've done all kinds of other small businesses. After my heart attack, a good friend of mine came over and gave me some nutritional products and says, we got to work on your health. And I was on those nutritional products for quite a while before I found out that it was a direct selling or a multi-level marketing program. And I failed at that one multiple times, but I finally figured out how to do it because I liked the products, because it made a huge difference in my life. And I needed to be able to create streams of income to take care of these special needs children. And so that's what we've been able to do. And I've had all kinds of different businesses. And when I turned 60, my wife and I decided that it was time to really get aggressive with our nonprofit foundation. We'd made enough money to take care of these special needs children, but we needed to figure out, there's three things you're going to do in your lifetime. You're going to learn things, and then you're going to go out and earn. You're going to learn and earn and then return. Now, you're going to do all three of those things your whole life. But in different times in your life, you're going to be a lot more aggressive or more focused on those. And when I turned 60, my wife and I donated $3 million of our real estate and our Berkshire Hathaway stock into the family foundation. And we got very aggressive in building a way that people could learn about success and money, because, success and money principles are not being taught in school. And we knew that that was very important, because I was lucky. I had parents that taught me, and they taught me by example. They didn't just sit down and preach to us. They were actually doing it. And I learned by watching them and following what they did. And so that's when my wife and I created the nonprofit foundation, and we've been teaching people all over the world ever since.
That's really cool. Walk me through the moment you and your wife decided to start the foundation and take action.
Well, my parents taught us about giving at a very young age. In fact, I'll tell you another little story. When I was a teenager, there was a lady in our neighborhood. She had very bad health. Her husband had passed away, and she was the elementary school librarian in this little town I grew up in. And she did something very interesting. She gave 5 of us kids in the neighborhood a $2 bill. Now, a $2 bill, 50 years ago was quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
And she also gave us 22 cents to give away. Now, this is the first time that someone outside our family had really given us something to start thinking about forward, to think about long term. And the 22 cents was kind of odd. Like, why would I do that? Well, because you need to be able to give to other people, to help other people. It's a spiritual law, but it's also a business law. And so that was a seed that was planted by a total outsider outside the family. And that so we knew about that at a very, very young age. My friend Robert Allen was very much into learning, teaching people how to make money, and also very, very giving. My friend Mark Victor Hansen, the gentleman who did all the Chicken Soup and the Soul books, very, very aggressive and giving back. And so it was ingrained in us growing up and throughout my career. And then we actually started the foundation 8 years ago, but 4 years ago, I decided, well, I could go out and build and make some more money, or I could take this time and go out and really make this foundation and get it off the ground. So the purpose of the foundation is to provide free success money classes for anyone, anywhere. Our real goal is to help you have a better life and have you teach your family so they can have a better life. I've had the privilege of going all over the world. I've been to 50 different countries. And the one thing that I know for sure is that people all over the world want their children to have a better life than they had. They want to make sure that their kids are taken care of. And so that's why we created the foundation. We have 3 missions in the foundation. Mission number 1 is to provide financial rewards for students when they attend online classes and share with others. And these rewards that we give out are to go into their investment account. Now, I was just a teenager, and my dad got my own investment account, and I was buying stocks and investing and doing long-term investing as a teenager. And when you do that, your brain just changes. You think differently. And that's our goal. You have to think very, very differently. So that was mission number 1. And we've given out over 30,000 financial rewards to students all over the world that have gone to the successandmoneyfoundation.org and attended class. We just know that if you'll do that one thing, it'll make a huge difference. You just think differently. Now, mission number 2 was to provide and to create a platform that schools and churches and charities and groups and teams could use so they could do that together. So there's a whole platform that as you share your free link, and again, we're a nonprofit, we're an educational foundation or charity or an NGO. And as you share your link, those people become part of your little group. So you can do it and you can be competitive and you can cheer each other on. But the third mission of the foundation is to help those in need. So for every hour our students go to class, the foundation will donate a pair of eyeglasses, or will feed someone, or provide a gallon of clean water to someone around the world. And that's what the missions are. But our real mission is to help you to have a better life and to help your family have a better life.
That's fantastic. And that's something that anybody can get behind, especially nowadays when you hear about the gap between the rich and the poor growing, and to empower people enough to change their lives and the trajectory of it, especially at such a young age, to be able to get into investing, because investing as a teenager is much more powerful than investing in your even 20s and 30s. Just that little time difference is huge. Mm-hmm. And so what can somebody expect when they first sign up for the Success and Money classes?
So as I mentioned, successandmoneyfoundation.org is a nonprofit educational foundation. And I'm the author of many books, but my latest book is called 5 Success and Money Steps to Financial Freedom. And it's your playbook for a wealthy life and a successful life. And I had to figure out a way to teach my children. As I mentioned, I've got 2 special needs children. And there's really 5 steps. These are the same steps for a 5-year-old, a 15-year-old, or a 55-year-old. Step number 1 is you need to learn how to make more money. You need to learn how to make more money. Number 2 is to separate your money. Number 3 is you need to give some of it away. Number 4 is to automatically invest. And number 5 is to save and spend. There's really just 5 things you need to do. Step number 1 is to make more money. Now, the way you make more money is you solve bigger problems. Most people run away from problems. We run towards the problems. Doctors make more money than nurses, who make more money than the receptionist, who makes more money than somebody that's cleaning the office, because doctors solve bigger problems. Go find bigger problems. The most successful people out there are the ones that found the biggest problems. Number two is they add massive value. They're more valuable. The materials that they create are more valuable than what someone else creates. And number three is they study successful people. So if you want to make more money, there's three things you got to do. You've got to study successful people, solve bigger problems, and add more value. Now, step number two is to separate your money, to consciously separate it and know where it's going to go and put it to work.
I'm personally a huge fan of separating my money, but I understand it takes time and effort and consistency to make that happen. So that's why I strongly recommend to all of you who are listening, choose a bank or credit union who helps you automate these things. I personally use SoFi Bank because it's crazy user-friendly. I can separate my savings account into a bunch of different categories, and they don't charge me any fees. I don't have account minimums. I can have $0 in an account without them charging me anything, which is great. And I can set it and forget it. I can have a percentage come out of a paycheck. I can have them come out once or twice a month on whatever day I want. So easy. And the nice thing is, this is my favorite part, ready? My savings accounts are currently earning 4.6 APY, which is higher than the average inflation rate. That's a super hard rate to get from a bank. That's not even talking about the amazing investing feature that they have. They have 0 fees for their investing platform. And so you can set and forget that too. It's just nice to have all your money in one spot. Since they're an online bank, they don't have to pay for physical bank locations, and they pass that savings right on to you. So all their fees, if they have a fee, it's pennies on the dollar compared to traditional banks. So if you want to get more serious about separating and organizing your finances and just taking yourself out of the equation, right, and feeling better about your finances, feel free to click the link below to get started with SoFi Bank.
The fourth step is to give to church and charity and to individuals. Now, that is a spiritual law, but it's also a business law. And if you will do that, you'll be very successful. Step number 4 is to automatically invest. Automatically invest. Now, when you automatically invest, the problem is that everybody has made it so complicated because everybody's out there making all kinds of noise because they want to sell you something. But investing is very, very simple. And, we do a real estate. We also do the stock market. But we're long-term investors. We're not traders. We don't buy and sell. We don't flip in a short term. We don't do any of that. We simply buy long-term investments in companies that do well. And our person that we really follow is Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway. And the simplicity of long-term stock investing is that the S&P 500, which everybody's heard, but very few people know what it is. The S&P 500 is the 500 largest companies in America that are global. And you can own a little bit of all 500 of those companies. Now, over time, they outperform mutual funds where you're paying someone to manage your funds. And they outperform people picking and choosing. Picking and choosing, the vast majority of people are going to lose. And so we encourage people just to invest in the S&P 500, the 500 biggest companies in America, and Berkshire Hathaway, which is kind of like the S&P 500. That's the Warren Buffett company. And they have been outperforming the S&P 500 for decades. And we have all kinds of wonderful classes and simple classes on that. So while everybody's out there making this complicated, we want to make it very, very simple. So that's the investment part. Now, the fifth one is to save and spend, the save and spend program. Now, the problem is most people don't make enough money. So we have to teach you how to make more money. You've got to make more money because of inflation. Mm-hmm. Step number five is to save and to spend. And honestly, we don't care where you spend the money. It's gone. I don't care if you buy steaks or hamburgers or whatever it is, that money is gone. Here's the other thing that's really scary is that you and everyone you know, you walk down the street, you walk in the mall, all these people all have Three things in common. Number one, they're all going to make money the rest of their life. They're going to either be a family that makes money, but they're going to make money one way or another. Number two is they have to manage it. They have to decide what to do with that money. And number three is they're going to spend money. That every person is going to make between $1 and $10 million in their lifetime. They're going to make it, they're going to manage it, and they're going to spend it. And the sad part is that the vast majority of people are going to die broke and in debt because they didn't learn the simplicity of the 5 steps, and they didn't learn the simplicity of investing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And that's something that you don't realize when you're in the thick of it, especially when you're younger and you see your peers maybe buying a bigger house than you, or having a nicer car than you. And one thing I've learned with being in real estate is you never know what people's finances really look like. I get to see the tail end, the back end of it, and people aren't as well off as you think. And it's so much more important to know where your money's going. So by the time you're at the end of your life, you know where that 1.6 or so million you made in your life went, or you have a good idea.
You'll find that people that are wealthy, it doesn't matter how much money they made. It doesn't matter where they spent it. It all depends on, did they get it long-term invested? And so that's what I'm saying. We like to buy real estate, and we've owned millions and millions of dollars worth of real estate. And the one advantage of real estate is that other people are going to pay it off for you. Now, you buy a house and you live in the house, and then you get a bigger house. Well, that's nice. You've had a wonderful life, but you don't have any assets. Because when you get older, you want to sell your house. Well, then you have to downgrade to something else. The real key is to buy properties where other people will pay them off for you. And that's what we did. We started buying long-term rentals. And people would rent off of us. And debt, you talk about debt. Is debt good or is it debt bad? Well, debt is good if somebody else will pay it off for you. Debt is good if somebody will rent something from you and make all of your payments and make you money at the same time. It's not good if you get into debt or an advanced degree that won't make you any more money.
Yeah.
Debt is terrible if it is to buy personalized items that don't make you more money. The only reason you ever use debt is that if it makes you a lot more money. Now, Dave Ramsey doesn't like debt, and I can understand why he doesn't like debt, and he pays for cash. And if you have the ability to pay for cash on things, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a free and clear home. For many people, you need to be able to do it faster and quicker, but you need to have the right kind of debt if you're going to do that.
Like Tom, I too have a passion for real estate. There is a reason why most millionaires are made through real estate. Now, if you are new to the game, it is a little bit intimidating getting into it. That's why I recommend hiring a real estate professional. If you are in the Utah County, Salt Lake County area, I'm happy to help you. If you are elsewhere, I am happy to go out, find the top 3 agents in your area that would suit your need, record an interview with them, and send you those recordings, and keeping your identity completely anonymous. That way you don't have a bunch of follow-up phone calls from less qualified agents bugging you. And this service is no cost to you. So if you are ready to start a real estate journey somewhere, you can find a link to get started below. Now, let's get back to how Tom Painter became successful.
I created small businesses. We lived off of my salary of my job. We created all these extra small businesses, all this other real estate, things like that. And as they made money, we put that money right down into step number 4, right into the wealth formula, right into the automatically invest. So we didn't really commingle it. We put it all there because my goal was to build up and have a big net worth that would take care of these special needs kids, because I didn't think the government was going to take care of it. So that's really kind of the key. There's investment money, and then there's money that you're going to live on. So that's really kind of the key. So we created the Success Money Foundation.org as a nonprofit. And what's amazing about it is that I've worked with a lot of people and know a lot of people that have wonderful classes that they would let us use.
Now, this is a lot of information to take in. I get it. Another thing that I think is cool about the foundation is that they teach people not just how to earn money, but how to give it away and how to be compassionate capitalists, as Thomas said.
we have given out thousands of rewards to people that have gone out and helped someone else out. Say, we're giving them money to go help somebody because they know somebody that needs help with that. And you can see that we do. There's all kinds of photos from people all over the world that have made a difference in someone else's life. They've gone through a class or they've requested a little bit of money. They've taken that money and then they've gone out and they've made a difference in someone else's life.
You guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. If you want to donate to the Success and Money Foundation, you can. Just email Tom. His email's in the description below. There's also a link below for you to check out the Success and Money Foundation. It's really cool if you want to build a stronger financial platform. If you want to share it with somebody, do it. Share it with kids. There's actually resources for teaching kids on there too, flashcards and everything. It's just all there for you. And if you enjoyed this show, and if you haven't yet, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching it all the way through. Drop a like if you think it's deserved, and I'll talk to you later.